we are recording. I'm just going to go ahead and start. We had 50 people sign up for this. I don't know where everybody else is at, but I don't want to keep you guys waiting. So let's just jump right into it. So thank everybody for being here for Business Ownership 101. I'm going to go through the basics of owning a business. I have some recommended books here that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. This is going to cover what I feel is everything that you need to know. I wrote a book about this, so this is basically all the chapters of my book. I'll introduce myself and Entrepreneur Headquarters. We'll go through the foundational practices, the 4 phases of starting a business. I'll get into business structures, giving you guys a breakdown of LLC, sole proprietors, S corps. We'll talk briefly about legal requirements. Legal requirements really depend upon your business, the state that you're in, even the county that you're in. We'll go through business plans and why business plans are so important. Then I'll talk about marketing, the fun stuff, right? Like how to actually sell your product or service. The next piece of this will be the financial piece, and that's what I'm going to get into. I'm going to spend more time on this chapter 7 essentially, which is grants, loans, how to be eligible even if you have bad credit, things like that. And then lastly, we'll talk about growth, and then we'll get into the Q&A. I am going to kind of give you guys a little bit of a spoiler. Entrepreneur Headquarters is starting our very own grant program. So I'm going to talk about how you can be eligible to receive essentially free money for your startup at the end of the video. Okay. So a little bit about me. My name is Jessie. I have a master's and a doctorate in business. I am from the South Bronx. I left the Bronx. I joined the military, so I was actually homeless for 4 or 5 months prior to me joining the military and finally being shipped out. All of that kind of fast forwarding through my life, basically, but now I'm here. I started my very first business almost 10 years ago. I had been really good at managing money and things like that. So I've worked for other people's businesses for a while. I was a consultant for Google and for a company called Simons. They are basically an HVAC company, to keep it really simple. I now own 7 businesses. So we have MB Fitness, where I'm a holistic personal trainer, MB Security, which I started off with armed guards and overseas contracts. Now I kind of boil that down to being a consultant for big businesses for security matters, especially cybersecurity. I used to own Valkyrie Supplements. It's still on here. I did just sell it a few weeks ago. I'm the owner until the end of the year. If you guys want to know about how to sell a business and exit strategy stuff, that's something that I can help you with. This is not the first time I've sold a business. Then there's Entrepreneur Headquarters. Crafts by Jessie V, which I call kind of my retirement business, where I do laser engraving, kind of custom jewelry. That's where I really tap into my creative side. Then K&L Animal Rescue, which is a 501c3 nonprofit I just started at the beginning of this year. And then the last business, K&L Pet Depot, I actually haven't really told anybody about that. I partnered up with a few friends on the East Coast out of Rhode Island to start a pet store, which the funds from that will feed into the animal rescue, which right now we don't actually have any animals. I'm a private investigator looking into businesses and animal abuse cases. So, Entrepreneur Headquarters. Just to break down kind of what I do, I started off as a business consultant, and I realized, for big businesses, and I realized that I didn't want to do that. I hated working for big businesses, helping Google tap into minority markets, things like that. I hated it. I wanted to give these sorts of opportunities and apply my skill sets to small businesses. So that's where I'm at. That's where I am now. It's why a lot of stuff is free. It's because I want to help you guys succeed. And while it is altruistic, at the end of the day, I look at it as, if I can help you start a 6- and 7-figure business, there might come a point where you can hire me as a business consultant. And it kind of is a cycle there for the most part. I want you guys to succeed. And then when you get to the point where you need a coach, then, that's what I'm here for. So I want to go into 2023 for Entrepreneur Headquarters. We generated over $10 million in funding for our clients, and that was spread across multiple spheres. So bank loans, grants, private funding, angel investors, all of that tallied up or totaled up was 10 million. I posted a little bit about this at the beginning of this year after we were able to go through and find out how much money we were actually able to raise for our clients. And when I say clients, I mean startups, people who started with no money, which is kind of the first case study. I have a friend who's a videographer who was doing freelance work here and there, but was doing freelance work for like Netflix, and he shot one of Kaylani's like first videos. He was like, he had this huge presence in the market, but was struggling to pay his bills. So flash forward, working with me for a few months, he was able to get 2 six-figure contracts with Universal Studios, actually, which is NBC. NBC's Paramount Studio is who, it's kind of weird in the entertainment industry, but basically he started from nothing, was able to get 2 six-figure contracts. And that's not because I have some secret way of doing that. It's simply because he just listened to what I told him, which is essentially this presentation. Next, I helped 2 real estate investors. They actually brought in $2 million in funding. Most of that was grants. They were, they flip houses, and they were incorporating these eco-conscious renovations and partnering with other eco-conscious businesses. So they would do things like, you know, putting in solar panels and rain catch and drip lines and all this stuff to help, you know, flip the house into a house a little more self-sufficient. And in doing so, they applied to about a dozen different grant programs and received money from each of those. And I'll talk a little bit about that because there are some awesome grant programs out there that you can apply to, not based on who you are as a minority or a female or, you know, whatever, or a veteran-owned business, but because of the type of business that you're going to be starting. Okay, enough with the introduction. Let's get into the 4 phases of starting a business. So if you haven't received this framework, it's on my website, entrepreneurheadquarters.org. I break it down very basically, but this is more of a comprehensive overview. So the first thing you need to do when you start a business is validate your idea. And I say need because it's not an option if you want to open and start a successful business. A lot of business owners I talk to have a ton of great ideas, and they're all valid in my opinion, but you need to pick one. You need to pick one business idea and see it through. That doesn't mean that you can never work on the other ideas that you had. It just means you need to pick the one that you're most passionate about, the one that's most viable, and then go from there. So in order to determine if your business idea is viable and is a good business idea, you have to do market research, right? So if I wanted to start I'll give you just a straight example. When I was starting my fitness company, I'm in Southern California. Everybody's a personal trainer, right? You can throw a rock and hit 5 personal trainers. So it was like, okay, I'm in a saturated market. How do I stand out? Cool, I'm a chick. I'm a minority. There's tons of those. I'm a veteran. There's even more of those. So how do I stand out? And I realized there was no space for holistic training. And that's kind of what my specialty was. So I tapped into that market. So you have to find what I call a point of differentiation. What sets you apart from the rest of the industry? Just because you're doing something that everybody else has done, why should people do business with you, you know, and not your competitors? The other part of that, which I think is really undervalued, is go to your competitors' websites, look them up on Google and Yelp, and see if there were any complaints, if there were any pain points that these customers had. I know that term's thrown around a lot in the business industry, but it's serious. Like, is there a product out there that's not fully satisfying its customer base? And are you able to answer that problem with your business idea? From there, we get into phase 2, which is developing your business plan. Every other slide after this is going to be about your business plan, because a business plan is so undervalued, so underrated. I've seen other business and entrepreneurs say you don't need a business plan, and that is simply not true. Just because you don't have someone to give your business plan to doesn't mean you shouldn't make it. A business plan is for you. It's for you to answer questions about your business that you probably aren't thinking about. Your vision statement, your mission, your goals, market analysis, organizational structure, product services, you know, marketing strategy, and financial projections. So when I talk to business owners, I'll ask them straight up, what are your financial projections for the next year? A lot of time business owners talk to me because they want me to invest in their business. I'm like, what are your financial projections? Like off the cuff, can you give me a rough idea? And a lot of times they can't answer that, or they give me some crazy number. Like they're starting off with $2 in their pocket, but they think their business is going to do $1 million by the end of the year. Not that that's not possible, it's just very unlikely. So to me, that tells me that they didn't take their business serious enough to actually sit down and put together a business plan or put together some sort of roadmap for their business. So that goes right into securing funding. Unless you yourself are going to pay to start your business, or you're going to borrow money, which I don't recommend, unless you're going to go those routes, you're probably going to end up at a bank or applying for a grant. You're going to end up getting the money from somewhere, and all of those other avenues require a business plan. So just another reason why you should have a business plan. Now, phase 3 is, if you're already in business and you're on this call, then phase 3 is probably where you're at. So once you've put your business together, you validated the idea, you looked at your competitors, you put your business plan together, and you got the money to start your business, you're going to launch your business. And then I put something here about building a team. That doesn't necessarily mean hiring people. That could mean, like the real estate example I gave in the last slide, those 2 agents, they don't do all the work on the house themselves. They're not putting up the solar panels. So they had to develop a team or a partnership with other businesses in order to help their business succeed. So they got, eco-friendly contractors who use recycled material. They got solar panel companies, things like that, to help them. Then we have launching your business. If you have a product or service that you're looking to sell, I recommend you work on a 4-week program. So 4 weeks seems like a lot of time, but I promise you, when you hit that open cart button and you let people start to check out and purchase your services or products, you're going to sell out. So the first 3 weeks, you're providing value. So if you are a baker, then, as a matter of fact, let me see what you guys put in the chat so I can give specific examples. Okay. Yeah, so let's just start with a baker. I'll actually go through all of these. So if you are a baker and you are looking to launch your business, you might want to spend 3 weeks posting videos, maybe even writing a blog. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or elaborate, talking about anything related to baking, maybe the types of materials you use or what makes something gluten-free. You're going to spend 3 weeks going through and providing as much value as you can to your target audience. Now, target audience is something that you should have developed in phase 1. Who's your ideal person that you're selling to? But so that's who all your posts are going to be for. So if you are specifically targeting people who have food sensitivities, you're going to spend 3 weeks talking about how you make products that are gluten-free. In that 4th week, that last week, that's when you're going to drop a hint, let's say on a Sunday, and say, hey, by the way, I'm launching a baking business and you guys can start buying stuff on Friday. And you tell them, kind of what products you're going to be launching. I recommend you keep it very slim. So if you're going to be selling a product, even if it's a consumable product like food, you want to only launch 1 or 2 things at a time. Anything more than that is too much. You'll do a product launch for each item that you drop. So on that Sunday, you'll tell people, hey, by the way, I'm going to be dropping my own stuff on Friday. You just spent the last 3 weeks telling them that you know your stuff. So when people see that, they're going to be intrigued to actually purchase your product. And I'm going to show you this book. So this is called Launch by Jeff Walker. He's my favorite. So he has something called the product launch formula. I've basically taken that formula and made it my own, which is what I'm talking to right now. So if you want to see kind of where I'm stemming all this information from in terms of launching a business, I get it from Jeff Walker. I also use Russell Brunson's .com secrets. So if you're going to be kind of launching a blog, or if you're going to be primarily providing value in those 3 weeks from your website, then I recommend looking at the Russell Brunson series. He has a few books. This one is the most relevant. Anyway, so you will announce your product launch on a Sunday. You drop it on that Friday. You just spent 3 weeks providing value. You just spent 6 days providing, building up anticipation. Then you can drop your product on that Friday. It is so private practice for mental health and substance abuse. This is 100% applicable to you. You want to make sure that you are spending every single day for 3 weeks posting information on your website about mental health awareness, about some substance abuse awareness, the different types of things that are going to influence someone's decision to actually, reach out and get help. So you want to make sure that you're providing that value in those 3 weeks. Now, if 4 weeks of a product launch is too much, you can condense this into 2 weeks, and then, you just spend 1 week providing a ton of value, and then you still drop that, that hint, hey, I'm going to be releasing something this Friday. So you still want to build that into anticipation for as long as you can, but if you have to condense it into 2 weeks, it's possible. Just to give you an example, so when I dropped my first book, which was How to Start a Business, I used that 4-week formula. I sold 20,000 copies. And I'm not an author. I was not a big name in the industry. So that's a lot. That was a 6-figure business drop. I was self-published. I didn't go through a publishing agency. So I got 100% of those profits. But when I dropped my business tax book, I didn't have a lot of time. I'm in the reserves. So I was like going to training. So I had like a week and a half to drop it. And I think I sold like 600 copies. It did not do very well compared to the first book launch. So I actually relaunched it and spent the full 30 days. To me, that just seems like a much more efficient way. Once I was able to build a name for myself, now when I do a 1-week drop, now it's a little bit more successful. But your first couple times doing it, you need to work out some kinks. So I recommend 30 days. I definitely recommend those books. There's articles on my website talking about these books if you guys want to check them out. Okay, so I know I'm going through this really quickly, but I'm hoping that you guys are catching some of the keywords and you're writing them down so you can, do some research and see how they apply to your business. So from there, with phase 4 is all about, it's all about fixing the cycle. So phase 1 and 2, good, right? Feedback loop is asking your customers, how did you like my product or service? Is there anything that I could do better? It's better if you ask them than them going to Yelp or going to your Google reviews. You want to get to them first. This way you can say, hey, thank you for the feedback. I want to make sure that I fix this. Or, if they had a problem with your service. So if you, okay, so clothing, for example, if they went home and washed a shirt they bought from your shop and it faded, I'd rather them tell me directly than them putting that on Google reviews and kind of ruining your reputation from the start. So, maybe, give them a discount, give them something else for free just to show that you care about their opinion. And then from there, scaling your business is really just going through phase 3 and 4 over and over again. Keep on dropping stuff, keep on relaunching stuff. If you have, so private practice for mental health, right? Maybe you have one sort of service that you're offering, go back in and offer that service again, but maybe it's virtual this time, maybe it's in person, maybe it's group. Continuously spread this information. Okay. That was a quick rundown. Like I said, the framework that you can download for free definitely goes in depth a little bit more, but that's the gist of starting the business. When it comes to, now the rest of these slides again are going to be about pretty much the business plan and the nitty gritty of starting a business. So business structures. Sole proprietor is honestly where a lot of people can start out. Now, the private practice for mental health probably won't be able to start as a sole proprietor. You'll definitely need an LLC, but or you might even be a partnership, but you don't have to get an LLC for everybody else. You can start, right, yeah, PLLC. You can start as a sole proprietor and just get a really good insurance policy, right? Like if you have a low risk business, like as a personal trainer, I didn't have an LLC right away. I just got there's an insurance company called Next, N-E-X-T. They offer amazing insurance packages for like $20 a month. So I was a personal trainer, I was paying $20 a month, which if I would have formed an LLC, I would have owed the state of California $800 every year. So it was a lot cheaper for me just to get a $20, insurance plan. Now, if you're making a lot of money or you're ready to take your business to the next step, or you have a medium to high risk business, then you want to go into an LLC. So keeping myself on topic here. By the way, these slides are for me because I go off on tangents a lot. But okay, so let's talk about sole proprietors. So sole proprietor is owned and operated by one person, so by you. It is super simple to start and it's easy to manage. There's no like crazy tax filing that you have to do. Any money that you generate just goes on your income tax, your regular 1040. The downside is the liability piece. So if you take out any sort of financing, which you're also not eligible for a lot of grants and loans, you'd end up having to take out a personal loan for the most part. So with those personal loans, you're responsible. And the few grants that are out there, you have to report that as an income. Now, when we look at LLCs, it's kind of like in between a sole proprietor and a partnership, because LLCs can have multiple members or managers. But again, it's limited liability. It's literally in the name, limited liability corporation or company. And then there's a flexible management structure. So when you look, that's compared to a corporation. Corporations are like these big businesses. They have a board of directors. They have all this stuff. LLCs don't need any of that. They're managed by you, right? It's the same thing. It's like a sole proprietor, but without the liability. I'm not going to talk on nonprofits. If you have questions about nonprofits, definitely reach out to me directly. I have a nonprofit, so I can answer questions about that. I did want to touch on C Corps and S Corps. C Corps are basically corporations. And then S Corps, it's a filing status for your business. And a partnership is basically just an LLC with multiple people who own it. Since I don't think anybody here is going to be getting into a corporation, I'm not going to touch on that. And then S Corps, the rule of thumb based on everybody that I've talked to in the finance world, tax world, I have a business that's an S Corp. Basically, when you've reached about $40,000 to $50,000 in profit, that's a good time to file as an S Corp. You're still an LLC, but an S Corp is a type of filing. And I would definitely talk to your CPA or whoever's doing your taxes. If they recommend you switch over to an S Corp because of like all of the wonderful tax benefits, they're not benefits unless you're making 40K, because then you get to keep more of your money. If you're making less than 40K, you have to pay all these fees and it ends up not being worth it. Okay, I'm going to go through this really quickly because legal requirements is so broad. It really depends on where you're at and your business. So business registration. So if you're a sole proprietor, so for example, Crafts by Jessie V, that's not a sole, it's an LLC. But if I was going to start as a sole proprietor, I can go to my county. So I can go to Riverside County in California and say, hey, Riverside, I'm Jessie, but I want to do business as Crafts by Jessie. And then I just file a DBA is what it's called, a doing business as. You can do that as a sole proprietor, and you can do that as an LLC or any of the other business types. But what's really awesome about that is it kind of legitimizes your business a little bit more. When you get to the point that you want to actually file for your LLC, you can just file, you can update the DBA status with your county and say, hey, oh, by the way, this DBA is now under this LLC. So you can keep the name of your business. Other states call it a name reservation. So that's just another way to do it. Licenses and permits. This is important if things like a medical practice, people have to be licensed to work there. Permits include things like a sales tax permit. So if you're going to be selling physical products at the retail store, or if you're going to be selling anything that's taxable, you need to get your sales tax permit or a reseller's permit, which allows you to buy things from businesses and then sell them to consumers. Tax ID numbers, again, your EIN, which is your tax identification number, your IRS, the IRS gives that to you. You can get an EIN even as a sole proprietor. So keep that in mind. It's not just for big businesses. So your employer identification number. It's like your business's social security number, but you don't have to protect it as much. Like I wouldn't recommend putting it on your website unless you're a nonprofit, but you can give it to other businesses if they need it. So tax identification numbers. Employment laws. If you're going to have employees, I highly recommend you just get QuickBooks, or you get something called ADP. So Entrepreneurial Headquarters is sponsored by ADP. So I'm a little biased here, but they manage employees and payroll for you, and they'll make sure that you're compliant. If you're going to start paying yourself as an employee, so issuing yourself a W-2, then you need to make sure you understand what the employment laws are, minimum wage, things like that. And then compliance with local, state, and federal regulations. That is something you should consider if you're going to be kind of contrary to the private practice here, sorry, but if you're going to be selling alcohol, firearms, anything that falls into something that like the ATF might manage, you want to make sure that you have those sorts of compliances also. Now, if you're going to be doing anything with your state, so if you're an electrician, a plumber, if you have a cleaning company, you want to double check with the state because that business has to be licensed, and you'll need things like workers' comp insurance. Okay, I kind of blew past those few slides just to get to like the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk to you guys about, which is marketing and then the money piece. So your target audience. If I ask you, who is your target audience? And you say, well, everyone can use my stuff, I'm going to walk away, right? I'm not even going to entertain you in your business. You need to be very specific. So, I mean, get down to the nitty gritty. There's actually a story about Sally's Beauty. There's this guy who's pitching to Sally's. He created a nail polish that's like a non-toxic nail polish. He's pitching to Sally's, and the people at Sally's keep on saying that, oh, Brenda, I forgot her name. Like, Brenda's not going to like this. So the guy's like kind of weirded out. He's like, okay, who's Brenda? Like, go get her. Like, you know what? Let's have another meeting. Like, we gave him a bunch of questions to answer. They had a follow-up meeting the next week. And so he pitched them his, nail polish again. And they're like, Brenda's really not going to like this. So now he's like, who the hell is Brenda? Like, why is she not going to like this? Can you go get her? And the folks at Sally's like laughed at him because they were like, no, Brenda's not a real person. She's our avatar. And that's what this is. They created this person, this Brenda person. They gave her a name. They put her likes, her dislikes, her goals, who she is, and why she shops at Sally's. You want to do the same exact thing. You want to create this avatar, this pretend person for the most part, but who are you pitching your marketing to? When I have my fitness company, I'm targeting women between 30 and 50 who live in Southern California, who are struggling with their weight, who want to, focus on holistic practices based on my price points. They're middle to upper middle class, basically. So they're middle class women who, education wise, high school, college, maybe, who are just frustrated with where they're at. That's my key demographic. So when I put up marketing or advertisements on social media, I am talking specifically to them. And it kind of has this bullseye effect where you're talking to the bullseye, but you have all these outer rings like a dartboard. And even though you're talking to the person in the middle, the one person in the middle, your message is still going to resonate with those outer rings. But if you try to hit that target and you're aiming at the entire board, you're going to miss. So you want to make sure that you have your target audience locked down. I don't care what business you're in. I have invested in multiple businesses. My portfolio right now is about 50 businesses deep. Anytime someone has come to me and said that their target audience is everybody, I walk out. I've literally gotten up and walked out of the meeting or logged off of the Zoom call. I'm not interested. Figure your shit out, basically, and then we'll talk again. Ripping the Band-Aid off on that one. Sorry, guys. So branding and positioning is the next piece. So based on who you're talking to, you want to develop your logo, your tagline, your color scheme. I call this a brand board. If you have access to our resource library, there's examples there. So a brand board is basically the exact colors you're going to be using, so your stuff matches from social media to your website, the exact fonts you're going to use. So when people see this color and that font, they know it's your business. Same thing with your logo. And then you kind of want to put your aesthetic. So for my security company, things are in stencil. It's very like military type, like a military aesthetic. So on this brand board, I've uploaded pictures of like the military, basically. So that's the aesthetic that I'm going for. But Crafts by Jessie V is a little more gentle. My target audience is definitely like women, but they're younger, or mothers, because I do have some jewelry for kids. So that's how you want to start to think about your branding. Okay, so the rest of this is the type of marketing that you can do. So we have digital marketing. That's going to be, as it says, like the stuff online. So you have SEO, which is search engine optimization. So how well does your website integrate with Google, basically? So if you want, so Google has this thing called Google Trends. You can see what's trending. So if I go into Google and I type in business, I can see what's trending for people who are searching business. I can see how to start a business, how to fund a business, how to get business grants. And then I go back to my website and I write a blog article that answers those questions. At the end of the day, Google is not there for you and the people who are posting advertisements. It's there for the consumer. They want to make sure that when someone Googles something, that their question is answered on the first page. And you want to be on that first page. So to do that, you have to make sure that these keywords are on your website. And the best way to do that is in the blog. Or if you go to Entrepreneur Headquarters, or even my personal website, jessieverga.com, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a list, just a string of random words. And that's because those are the top ranked Google search words. So I make sure that's on the home page. So when someone's looking for something that relates to my business, it takes them to the home page of my website. Next, we have social media marketing. So that's going to be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, or whatever the heck it's called now, right? X, I think is what it is. Threads, even YouTube. So if you have YouTube videos, you want to embed them on your website, either have a video library or write a blog article associated to that video. But the same thing on social media. You want to make sure that you're targeting your specific audience. You want to make sure that you're keeping your colors and your fonts and all of that stuff the same. So if someone goes to your profile, it's not just like a mess and there's no consistency. You want to show consistency. You don't necessarily have to like format your page, but if you did, that's, some people like that. It just depends on your target audience and the market research that you do. The last piece is email marketing. Hands down, email marketing is the highest return on investment across all marketing types, whether it's traditional marketing or digital marketing. Basically, what that means is if someone has trusted you enough to sign up for your email list, they are exponentially more likely to actually purchase your product. So an email list and fostering an email list and providing a ton of value to your email subscribers is key to business success. I don't know of any successful business, 6- and 7-figure business, that doesn't have an email list of some sort. Okay, traditional marketing is going to be things like your brochures, your flyers, direct mail. Even if you leave your business card places, I've put up business cards and posters in like Starbucks, for example, especially for like my fitness company. The other thing is radio. I have a client who created a product for long or cross-country truck drivers, long-haul truck drivers, and a lot of them don't have trucks with an aux cable or where they can plug their phone into, which is crazy. But they listen to the radio. So he does a lot of radio advertising because that's predominantly where his target audience is hanging out. And then we have events. If you're going to participate or host any sort of industry events, which I definitely recommend that you do, it's definitely a way to get your name out there. You don't necessarily have to sell stuff at that event, but just being present, even if you're just walking around and networking with some of the businesses that are there, it's a great way to promote your business. Okay, so measuring marketing effectiveness, one of the kind of main ways that this is done is through something called KPIs, key performance indicators. So if you put up a blog post, you want to see like how many people are viewing this blog post, how many of those people who view my blog post or view my website are actually buying stuff. It's called a conversion rate. That's kind of a way to track how well your site is doing or how well your social media is doing. There's also something called customer acquisition cost, or CAC. This is something you hear a lot on shows like Shark Tank. The sharks will ask, how much does it cost you to gain a customer? So if I pay $100 in advertising, how many of the people who see my advertisement purchase my product? You want that number to be very low, like less than $1. So if I pay $100 in an advertisement, I want to have $200, $300, $400 in sales from that advertisement. If not, you need to cancel that advertisement, go back to the drawing board and figure out why the people who are seeing this ad or are on your website aren't purchasing your products. And then the last thing is return on investment. And that's pretty simple. How much money did you invest into your business, or did you invest into a particular part of your business? And how much money are you making back? Same thing with your products. If you're selling, clothing, for example, how much is it costing you to make that piece of clothing, or to buy that piece of clothing? And how much are you selling it for? I like ROIs that are like 40 to 60% or higher. I have a drop shipping store that I don't ever really talk about. And I make like 60% of every sale. I don't even do anything with that, by the way. I can talk about drop shipping in another webinar, or I can make a post about it. But that's a great return on investment. And then the last thing is data analytics, that data and feedback column. So how are you tracking these KPIs? How are you determining your conversion rates? A lot of websites have this stuff built in. So if you have Wix or Squarespace, it's on the dashboard. Same thing with Shopify. You can see how many people are looking at your website. Are they male or female? Where in the world are they? Their approximate age, time of day. You can look and see, like for example, one of my websites does so well Wednesday afternoons. I have no idea why. Consistently every week, Wednesdays are the days that there's the most people on my website. So I will do like pop-ups, or I'll have a sale that is on my homepage on Wednesdays at those peak hours. So the people that are visiting are more enticed to buy, which increases my conversion rate. Okay, financial management. I'm going to go through this really quickly. Anything I talk about here, there are templates on the Entrepreneur Headquarter website. So you don't have to make this up or figure it out on your own. So budgeting and forecasting I talk about in the business plan. You want to have a business budget, even if you're only working with $100. Figure out where it's going to go. $10 in marketing, $20 for the website or overhead costs. Figure out where your money is going to go and get into the habit of doing that now. Because if you don't, and when you do start making a ton of money, you're going to be scrambling, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to pay $1,000 in advertising and wipe out your whole budget. Now you're in the negative. So financial statements is something else that you should start to familiarize yourself with. If you're an established business and you go into a bank, they're going to want to see these things. Financial statements are things like your income statement, which is going to track revenue and expenses, like a profit loss statement. So how much money you're bringing in and how much money are you spending. A balance sheet, which is going to show does your business own any assets? Do you have any inventory? Do you have any cash in the business bank account? And then cash flow management is how much cash is on hand. Again, all of these statements and reports, the blank templates are on the website. Okay, funding options. Before I get into funding options, I have a whole slide on that. Financial tools and software. I love QuickBooks. I love QuickBooks. It does everything. If you want to track your mileage, if you have a business that requires you to drive, it's on there. It's on the app, right? It also, if you have the app on your phone, you go to Staples to buy something for your business. You can snap a picture of the receipt and upload it into QuickBooks right then and there. It's so easy to reconcile. I have a bookkeeper. I can actually drop her information. She is the best. She's also a small business. She's a virtual assistant. She's so affordable. And she manages my stuff, and she's 3,000 miles away. She's in New York. So that is, that's the best thing for her. I just can send the information from my phone, and she has everything that she needs to balance my books, and then to give all that stuff to my CPA who does my taxes. Okay, now the fun part. So let's talk about the funding. So I'm just looking at who's here right now, because I have, I'm going to give some specifics here. I've talked to some of you guys in person, so, or over the phone. Okay, so there's 6 different types of funding options for your business. So the first is bootstrapping. It's you're paying for it, right? You're going to invest your own money, and then every time your business makes money, you're going to put that money back into the business. This is cool. Not everybody has the ability to reinvest in their business, because usually if your business is making money, you need that money to pay for life. And then the next piece is loans. So there are small business loans and something called micro loans. I know that US Bank does micro loans. There are also some other smaller credit unions that will do microloans, like local credit unions. So for small business loans, the bank will sometimes, most of the time, if you're a new business, will run your personal credit. As long as you don't have anything in collections, you're usually okay. I've had clients who have gone into the bank with like a 510 credit score and have walked out with a $10,000 loan. It's mostly because you have a sound business plan. The underwriters, especially at smaller banks, it's really easy to convince them to fund your business. I actually have a friend who is an underwriter for Bank of America. He owned his own virtual assistant business. And he's kind of, I feel like he's told me like all the secrets, but he let me in on a couple of things when it comes to underwriters and getting loans from a bank. And I talked to him just before this webinar because I wanted to make sure that these things are still up to date. So you can 100% ask the representative or the bank teller, whoever you're talking to, if you can work with the underwriters. Now, you'll never actually meet the underwriters. They're kind of like odd, like this secret person behind the curtain. But you can talk to the representative and say, hey, listen, like, I know I don't have the best credit score, but like, you know, here's my business plan. I've thought this through. If you've done any work with me, like I tell people to put my name on stuff because especially here in California, most of the banks out here know me. I've given them a ton of business. So when they see that my name is on it or they see that you've gone through Entrepreneur Headquarters, that definitely tips the scale in your favor. One, because it shows you invested time and in some cases money into your business and you have this very clear, concise business plan. Most of the business plans that I've helped people create are 10 to 15 pages. When you bring that into a bank, they're not even going to ask any questions. Sure, you don't have the best credit, so that might limit the amount of money you can actually pull out, but there are ways around it. Unless there's some corporate fine print somewhere that says we will not accept or not give any loans to anybody with less than an X number of credit score, generally it's pretty easy to work with. Now you might have a high interest rate, but there are some ways to work around that as well by kind of like refinancing the loan, but I won't get too much more into that. Microloans are where it's at. I would definitely look into microloans. These can be $1,000, $2,000, $500. Pretty simple, and they give you like a 1-year window to pay it off without interest. After that, there's usually like some astronomical APR there, but it's definitely really awesome if you just need a few dollars to get your business started. Next are grants. Now I'm going to talk about our business workshop. I give you a list of grants that I have personally applied to and have received money from, and that my clients have applied to and received money from. Because there are a lot of scams out there, unfortunately, or a lot of businesses who have these grants and they just use them as like a PR front, and they don't actually issue any money, which is so annoying. But I vetted a lot of these grants. So government grants is definitely the best place to start. Small Business Association is a government program that issues grants. And then there's private grants. Private grants meaning that you can get money from corporations like Coca-Cola. A lot of times the businesses that give grants give businesses in their industry. So tech companies will give grants for tech startups. Medical research institutions will give grants to, anybody in the medical industry. Now, private grants from Coca-Cola and businesses like that, like physical products, they normally give grants to like minorities, so Black-owned, minority-owned, LGBTQ+, veteran-owned. A lot of those businesses will give grants to that. Like Black Rifle Company, I think, just started a grant program. I think it's Black Rifle, and they give, grants to veteran-owned businesses. Next are investors. So I am an angel investor. I was a venture capitalist for a little while. I prefer angel investment. Now, angel investors give you money in exchange for a percent of your business. It's the plot for Shark Tank. So what that means is I determine how much money I think your business is going to be worth. And I will say, okay, yeah, if you want $10,000, I'll give you $10,000, but I want 50% of your business. Whereas venture capitalists, which is where I used to be, will just lend you money, basically. They're like an unofficial bank. So there's like this huge agreement, it's written up. They will give you X amount of money, but they want a return on their investment, which is essentially like an APR. Sometimes they'll give you 5%. They want 5% of a return on investment, or they want a percentage of sales. So every time someone buys something from your store, they want 10% of it. So that's not, I found that doesn't really help businesses because I'm taking such a huge chunk of their profits. Whereas as an angel investor, I usually have an exit strategy where I'll say, I want 50% of your business. It's usually never that much, like 25% of your business for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, I will exit without, or you can buy me out at 3 years. Now, the good part of having an angel investor or a venture capitalist is that you have access to their network. So if I'm starting my fitness company again, right? And Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, I want to invest in your business, but I want 25%. I wouldn't be able to text yes or say yes quick enough, right? Because now I can tap into that person's network, which is probably so much larger than mine, and I would make more money with them anyway. So that's the benefit of angel investors. There are websites, I think it's like angelinvestors.com, like pretty simple. There are platforms where angel investors hang out. What they require you to do is upload a business plan and talk a little bit about you. Sometimes people will post like videos saying like, this is who I am, this is where I grew up, a little bit of a bio, and then they'll attach their business plan. Venture capitalists don't generally care about that. You'll usually find them online, but they want to meet with you in person. They want you to send your business plan ahead of time. It'll get vetted by their assistant or something. And then if they like your business, they'll schedule a meeting with you. Crowdfunding is the best way to raise money for your business. Hands down, I don't care what anybody says, it's free money, right? You don't have to pay any money back. So right before this webinar, I was on Kickstarter, for example. So Kickstarter is a platform where you raise money. So Kickstarter has like 10 million people on that platform who invest. So it's a reward-based system. So you start your account. You say, this is my business. This is what I want to do. Now Kickstarter has their own rules. So only certain types of businesses are allowed. Like nonprofits, for example, are allowed, but you can't use it to raise donations. So it's not a very long list of rules. But so let's say I wanted to create a custom water bottle. I don't know, maybe it does something weird. I don't know. So I want to create this water bottle. I go into Kickstarter. I say, hey, hi, Kickstarter. This is me. This is my business. Here's my business plan. This is the thing I'm trying to create. And what you do is every time someone donates, they get something in return. And the donations are small. Like one guy raised like $150,000 and most of his donations were $5, like super simple. And everybody has, not everybody, but most people on that platform have $5 to spare. So I go on there every day and I'm like $20 here, $5 there. So you have different tiers. So if you donate $5, you get a shout out on my website. If you donate $100, you get one of these cool water bottles for free. If you donate $1,000, you get to come to my launch party. And there are people, venture capitalists specifically, who go onto these websites and drop 10K because they like you or they like your business. So it's a great place. And they get their reward right away. Like you'll get a list of people you might have to send your product to, but they get their stuff right away. As a matter of fact, with my laser engraving business, there was somebody who started a Kickstarter. And what they did was they had these little plaques made for anybody who donated like $10,000 or more to their crowdfunding campaign. So they would put the person's name and the business and that person's logo on these plaques, and they hung them up in their shop when their shop opened because they were like the plank owners of that business. Indiegogo is essentially the same thing. I haven't used it. I have some clients that have used it. That's really for like creative projects. Definitely, I would do both. Like there's tons of, GoFundMe is technically a crowdfunding platform. A lot of people do it for humanitarian stuff, but if you go onto GoFundMe, there's a whole like business page where you can help, businesses start up. But Kickstarter is the most famous. They have the most people on that platform. And last, and I literally mean last, is personal loans, equity investments, just friends and family. If you are going to have anybody lend you money, put it in writing. I can't tell you how many times I've seen lawsuits about this where a business, your mom lent you $100 and in 5 years you became a millionaire. and then got sued by their family, by their mom, and was like, your business was worth $200. I gave you 100. Technically, I own 50%. Give me 50% of the profits. That happens all of the time. One of my friends is a blue collar attorney. So she specializes in these blue collar crimes, but a lot of what she does is these sorts of personal feuds where someone who lent money in the beginning is suing the business owner because they feel that they should have gotten more than just their $100 back. And then equity investment, that kind of taps into pulling equity from or offering equity to pay that person back. So if your mom is going to loan you $100, say, Mom, thanks for loaning me $100. I'll give you 10% of the business. And then they can continuously make money as your business grows. Paperwork. So I tell all of my clients. Okay. Growth techniques. So there are a few different ways to grow your business. And this seems to be the most popular topic on my TikTok when I talk about this stuff. So, you can scale your operations by increasing, production capacity and efficiency. So if you're making a physical product, maybe it's having more than one distributor, more than one manufacturer who's actually like managing your products. And then implementing automation. AI has been a blessing to a lot of business owners. I definitely wouldn't recommend using AI in the beginning. Learn how to manage it yourself. Because when you bring in, something like AI to automate your business, you know how it's supposed to work. Whereas if you just implement it now, you're not really going to know if it's working right. The next thing is expanding your market. This is going to be developing a second buyer persona, another sales channel, or another target audience, right? So Crafts by Jessie V, we make stuff primarily for women. Our second target audience was mothers, and our third target audience, which is about to launch, is men. So, and then again, I get down into the demographics with those, but that's when you start to expand your market and have more than one buyer persona. And then that kind of goes into diversifying your product or service. Are there other pain points that customers have that you can answer with your established business? So I started off Entrepreneur Headquarters by offering a ton of free stuff and very inexpensive products. And then I slowly started offering more expensive things because, different businesses need different things. If you have 100 employees and you want me to be your consultant, it's going to cost a little bit more than if you were a startup. So that is basically it. I'm going to get into the Q&A. So if you guys can do me a favor, ask all of the questions you have right now in the chat. I'm going to answer all of them. We have some time. So it can be specific about your business. Don't put any personal information in the chat, but feel free to start asking questions. I have a couple questions that people always ask me. While you guys are typing your questions, I'm going to show you guys a couple of the books that I wanted to display. So this is .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. This he has a few books. This is a really good book if you want to learn a little bit more about digital marketing. Then there's Launch. This is good for small businesses who are looking to either launch for the first time or drop a product and have it do really well in sales. His client base, he has thousands of people that he's helped, and all of them have done 6 and 7 figures just dropping one product. And the last thing is Alex Hormozy's, can you see that? Yeah, million dollar offers. This just helps you generate leads, especially if you are in a business that service business, you're providing a service. This teaches you how to get leads. And then he has another book, of volume 2, that teaches you how to convert those leads into paying customers. Okay, so I'm looking at your question. Sorry, can I add my niece flower business under my LLC? And will I have to add her as an employee or owner under the LLC? So if you are looking to have another business under your LLC, you can. What you would have to do is you would have to file a DBA, a doing business as, under your LLC with the name of the flower business. If you're going to be buying, if she has an LLC, she would have to liquidate that LLC and you would have to assume it. Or She can do something called a statement of information. She can file an SOI and list you as the new owner, where then you would have 2 LLCs. The first option, just filing a DBA, is better because then you can have 2 businesses that split the $800 requirement for at least California. Are there any other questions you guys want to add? Okay, she does not have an LLC, and that's perfect. So you would just file a DBA with the flower business's name, and you would assume that under your, like, for example, Entrepreneur Headquarters is the DBA under my LLC, which is Jesse Verga LLC. I have a couple businesses under there. Okay, do you guys have any other questions? I wanted to talk to you guys about, I said like I had an announcement for this course, so I'm going to get into that next. So keep on asking questions. You have me for free right now, so ask as many questions as you want. I'm going to get into kind of the business ownership workshop. Now, don't be scared by what's about to be on the screen. I'm going to talk through it. So I used to have a small business academy. The small business academy was $6,000. It was an 8-week course. We sold out every year. Every single person who took that course was like, this is too long. This is 8 weeks of tons of information. Can you condense this? So I created this. There's a few more slides. Don't get scared by what's on here. So this is how it started. It was 5 weeks, 5 one-hour sessions. You worked with me directly for 5 weeks. Everything that I talked about in this presentation, we did together. I helped you make your business plan, find your target audience, do your marketing strategy, and that went really well. And I had offered that for $1,000, but I didn't like that, right? Again, I started off offering like free stuff and stuff that was at low cost. So I was like, okay. I was like, well, what if I do all of this and then we do 5 hours of consulting? So 5 one-hour sessions. And I was like, okay, that's better. But then I realized I have this huge library of all those templates that I was talking about. I call it the Mastermind Resource Library. There's example business plans that are on there. There's tons of information for you guys to have access to. So that kind of rounded it out. I didn't like the price point. So I was like, okay, I'm going to offer it for $500. So if you guys want to sign up for the business workshop, it's only $500. I help you do everything that we just talked about. There's also 5 extra hours of consulting sessions and access to the mastermind library. There are payment plans. You don't have to pay that all at once, by the way. Now, if you want to sign up or if you want to see what it's about, you can scan this QR code. Again, this course has not dropped yet. It was in last year. This is this 2024's workshop. So you can go there, you can check it out, you can read the syllabus, decide if you want to join. It is going to be $1,000 if tomorrow, right? So this $500 deal is essentially today, plus the 5 hours of coaching and the access to the mastermind library. I'm offering that to you guys. If not, don't worry, there will be a payment plan even when it goes back to the normal price. Now, one student is going to receive a $1,000 grant from Entrepreneur Headquarters. I haven't announced that yet. This is going to be the first time I've done a grant. So I'm going to offer it to people who have gone through the business workshop. Yes, there's a payment plan for the $500. So the $1,000 grant is basically, I'm going to have people who have gone through this whole course, who have created a business plan with me, who I know are going to be successful. So basically what I'm going to do is out of all the students who go through the course, I'm going to pick one who's going to receive a $1,000 grant. The way I've decided to do this is I'm probably just going to Venmo you or PayPal you $1,000, right? From the Entrepreneur Headquarters site directly to you, no strings attached. I don't care if you use $1,000 to pay your bills or for it to go to your business. Whatever you want to use it for is for you, as long as it helps you succeed. So that's the whole point of it. And I want to do more than just one student, but we're going to start small, make sure we can figure things out. And then I'll do more money and maybe more recipients as time goes. Okay, so with that being said, there's this workshop. I haven't announced it yet, so you'll probably see some stuff next week on my social media talking about it. I'm going to leave this up if you guys want to check it out. Okay, so if you guys want to continue asking questions, I will answer them as best as I can. Consuelo, did you have any questions? Not to call you out. I just want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to to take advantage of having me for free. If you have questions that you don't want to ask in front of participants, that's fine too. I would say message me directly if you want. So I'm going to give this a couple minutes and then we'll shut down. Again, Entrepreneurial Headquarters or enhq.org/courses, enter password webinar 2024. I password protected it because I cut the price in half and I offered an extra 4 hours of consulting. And to give you an idea, the smallest or the least expensive consulting package that I offer for one-on-one coaching is $3,500. So just to put things into perspective. Okay, so without further ado, if you guys don't have any more questions, then thank you everybody for being here. I did record this. I'm not sure if I'm going to post it. I might do another one, maybe one that's a little bit longer. But yeah, you guys will be receiving surveys. If I went too fast or if there's something that I didn't talk about that you would like me to talk about, put that in the survey. And if I do this again, I'll make sure that I incorporate any of your feedback or any of your comments. So thanks again, everybody.